The drama surrounding Mike Tyson's toughest fights has always fascinated boxing fans around the world. Tyson, the youngest heavyweight champion in history, was seen as a force of nature, an unstoppable beast who could dismantle anyone in seconds. Yet even for Iron Mike, there were nights when victory almost slipped away, when the aura of invincibility cracked and the crowd held its breath, wondering if this was the end of the legend. These are the moments that defined Tyson's career, the battles where his crown nearly toppled, but his ferocity pulled him back from the brink. As you watch this story unfold, ask yourself, which fight left you most shocked at seeing Tyson pushed to the edge? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you love diving into the raw, unfiltered drama of boxing's greatest warriors, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because we're only just getting started. Mike Tyson's career will forever remain etched in boxing history as the story of a knockout artist so devastating that opponents often seemed beaten before the first bell. His explosive combinations, relentless aggression, and savage speed turned fights into demolitions. Yet hidden behind those highlight reels were rare but unforgettable moments when Tyson was human. When another man dared to stand in the storm and push him into dangerous territory. Tonight, we revisit those battles, not just to remember the punches and knockdowns, but to relive the atmosphere of fear, defiance, and the raw unpredictability of heavyweight boxing. The first crack in Tyson's invincible image came in 1990. At the peak of his career, undefeated, rich, and feared by every heavyweight in the world, Tyson entered the ring in Tokyo against an opponent few believed could stand a chance. James "Buster" Douglas. To the betting public, Douglas was little more than a footnote, a man with respectable skills but none of the aura to match the monster before him. Yet that night, destiny wrote a script that would forever haunt Iron Mike. The early rounds seemed routine enough. Tyson, as always, pressed forward with his signature peekaboo style, bobbing, weaving, throwing thunderous hooks. But Douglas was different. He wasn't intimidated. He used his jab like a spear, keeping Tyson at bay, refusing to fold. Round after round, the impossible began to happen. Tyson's eyes swelled, his rhythm faltered, and the aura of invulnerability began to crack. By the 10th round, the world witnessed one of boxing's most shocking moments. Douglas unleashed a brutal uppercut followed by a flurry of punches, and Tyson, the same man who once seemed carved from iron, crashed to the canvas. For the first time, the indestructible warrior was destroyed. That image, Tyson fumbling for his mouthpiece and trying to rise, burned itself into boxing's history. The Tokyo Dome erupted in disbelief, and the myth of invincibility vanished. But Tyson was not done. If Douglas had humbled him, the next chapter would be about vengeance, redemption, and the fight to reclaim his crown. That chance came against a man many thought would be his successor, Donovan "Razor" Ruddock. It was 1991, and Ruddock was hailed as the heavyweight destroyer of the future, a fighter with frightening power in his left hand and a will to match. The hype painted Ruddock as the one destined to end Tyson's reign once and for all. From the opening bell, the fight was chaos. Two predators clashing, fists flying like weapons, the crowd roaring with every exchange. Tyson, though smaller in stature, charged like a bull, ripping hooks to the body and head. Ruddock, unfazed, fired back with his lethal smash left hand, rocking Tyson, driving him to the ropes. For the first time since Douglas, fans saw their idol stagger, absorbing shots that would have felled any other man. Gasps echoed as Razor's punches landed clean, the nightmare of Tokyo threatening to repeat itself. Yet Tyson was born for these moments. He adapted, bided his time, then struck with surgical violence. By the 7th round, after brutal exchanges that left both men marked, Tyson unleashed a furious barrage. The referee jumped in as Ruddock sagged under the onslaught. Razor protested, his defiance unbroken, but the message was clear. Iron Mike was still the king. And if anyone wanted his crown, they'd have to walk through hell to take it. Still, Tyson's career was not only defined by his most dangerous rivals, but also by his own volatile nature. In 1999, the world saw this darker side when Tyson faced François Botha. On paper, Botha was a heavy underdog, a fighter with grit, but lacking the weapons to truly threaten Tyson. But Tyson entered the bout carrying rage, fueled not only by the fight, but by the chaos of his life outside the ring. From the opening bell, that fury spilled out, not just in punches, but in raw, reckless aggression. Botha, instead of collapsing, played a clever game. He jabbed, moved, and then clinched, frustrating Tyson, neutralizing his attacks, and even landing clean counters. What shocked fans most was Tyson's reaction. Instead of discipline, he lashed out with dirty tactics, at one point attempting to twist Botha's arm in a bizarre act of frustration. The fight threatened to spiral out of control, the referee warning Tyson, the crowd unsure if disqualification was imminent. Botha's strategy for a moment seemed to work, but Mike Tyson was no ordinary fighter. Once his corner calmed him and he refocused, the difference in power became undeniable. In the fifth round, Tyson unleashed a single thunderous right hand. Botha crumpled, stumbling, unable to rise before the count reached 10. Just like that, the chaos ended in violence, and Tyson reminded the world why his name was synonymous with destruction. Of course, Tyson's rise had been tested long before the Douglas upset, in the era when he was still proving himself the true heavyweight king. One of those defining battles came in 1987 against Tony Tucker. At 6'5", Tucker towered over Tyson, undefeated and freshly crowned as IBF champion after defeating none other than Buster Douglas. Their clash would unify the heavyweight titles and determine the undisputed champion of the world. Tyson, still young but already a phenomenon, charged into Tucker with his trademark ferocity. But Tucker was not like Tyson's usual prey. He had the reach, the technique, and the arrogance to believe he could weather the storm. Early in the fight, Tucker landed clean shots, his uppercut snapping Tyson's head back, his mocking gestures taunting the smaller man. For a moment, the crowd wondered, could this giant outbox Iron Mike? But Tyson thrived on defiance. Every taunt only sharpened his rage. He cut off the ring, slammed hooks to the ribs, and ripped through Tucker's defenses. The fight turned into a war of attrition, with Tucker backpedaling, jabbing, holding, but unable to match the relentless pressure. Round by round, Tyson broke him down. By the final bell, the judges had no choice. Tyson's hand was raised, and the heavyweight division was unified under a single name, Mike Tyson, the undisputed king. But no list of Tyson's toughest fights would be complete without mentioning the massive British powerhouse, Frank Bruno. With muscles sculpted like a Greek statue, Bruno looked every bit the man who could match Tyson's physicality. Leading up to their 1989 clash, Bruno promised to dismantle Tyson, to humiliate him and end his reign in spectacular fashion. His words dripped with arrogance, comparing Tyson to a predator about to be devoured by a stronger beast. When the bell rang, the fight exploded with violence. Tyson charged forward as always, but Bruno stunned him with a massive left hook, rocking the champion, sending shockwaves through the crowd. For a fleeting moment, it looked like Bruno's words might come true. Tyson wobbled, his legs buckled, and fans gasped. Was the iron finally cracking again? But Tyson's genius was in his ability to recover in chaos. Instead of retreating, he advanced, unleashing combinations that Bruno could not withstand. Blow after blow crashed against the Brit's defense until finally, the referee stepped in to stop the slaughter. Bruno's body collapsed, and his dreams of dethroning Tyson evaporated. What remained was a brutal reminder. Tyson was not to be trifled with. And then, there was Mitch Green. Unlike Bruno or Tucker, Green wasn't remembered for his skill or his power, but for his attitude. He mocked Tyson, threatened him, promised to expose him. Their 1986 fight was more street battle than boxing match, with Green trying to bully and taunt his way through 12 grueling rounds. But Tyson, still a young lion sharpening his claws, answered with relentless punishment. Round after round, he hammered Green, breaking his will, turning his bravado into silence. Green survived the distance, but his face told the story. Swollen, battered, and broken, Tyson had given him 12 rounds of punishment. A message to anyone else who thought words alone could topple the king. Looking back at these fights, the story of Mike Tyson's toughest nights is not one of weakness, but of resilience. Yes, there were cracks in the armor. Yes, there were moments when the crowd doubted, when the opponent dared to believe. But time and again, Tyson showed why he was a once-in-a-lifetime force. His career was more than just highlight reels of knockouts. It was the drama of survival, the battle against men who refused to bow, and the proof that greatness is forged not in easy victories, but in the wars that test your very soul. Tyson's legend is not untouchable because he never fell. It's untouchable because even when pushed to the edge, he fought his way back with the fury of a man determined to remain king. And now, it's your turn. Out of all these brutal wars, Douglas shocking the world, Ruddock's bombs, Botha's tricks, Tucker's size, Bruno's strength, or Green's arrogance, which one left you most stunned?